Okay, so today what I want to cover is mainly I'm going to cover flat slabs and staircases. So both these things I'll be telling you the theory concept, how what are the things that you consider in design of flat slab and staircases. But I will not be solving any problems in this. This will actually form your assignment. Okay, so flat slabs you'll be doing a problem, and staircases you'll be doing probably a couple of problems. So that's what. So instead of just giving the problem, I thought I'll cover the concept behind flat slabs and staircases, and then you can do your assignment. Okay. Well, staircases, as far as it's concerned, it's you just need to know how to take dimensions and how to calculate the loads. So only that much is needed. Other things are quite simple. Flat slabs, there are some other specific concepts which you need to know. Okay, but anyway, both those things we'll cover today itself, and from tomorrow I'll be able to start the main part, columns. So I'll go to this. Okay, so now let's look at flat slabs. So I hope the screen is visible and you're able to hear me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so far we have seen all the slabs that you have designed till now. The one-way slabs and the two-way slabs, what all that you have done till now, all those are, we are assuming that the slabs edges, they are all on unyielding or on rigid supports. Okay, meaning that whatever the slab is supported on, whether it's a beam or whether it's a wall, that support, the beam or the wall, will not really deform too much. Okay, they'll be quite rigid. But that's not always the case, especially when you have a slab which is supported not on walls, but if it's supported on beams. In that case, there will be a little bit of, the beam itself will undergo a certain bit of deflection. Okay, because the beam is taking along the edge of the slab, whatever beam is there, that is going to take the load which comes on the slab, and under that load, that beam may deform a bit. Okay, so especially when you design two-way slabs, all those coefficients which you use for different aspect ratios and different continuous, one short edge continuous, one long edge continuous, or whatever those 9 cases. So all those coefficients are derived on the assumption that the edge of the slab, they are going to be rigid and they are not going to deform. So, but that's not always the case. You may have slabs which are actually flexible. It is up to the engineer to decide whether he needs to worry about it or not worry about it. Okay, so for example, any floor system, any normal building that somebody designs, they'll have a two-way slab. The slab will be sitting on top of beams only. It's not going to be sitting on. It may not be sitting on top of walls. Okay, it will mostly, especially in the normal framed construction, it's going to be on beams. But in many cases, no. As an engineer, as for the purpose of simplicity, because we want to use the codebook coefficients because that is easy. So just the engineer should be quite satisfied that even if he takes the beam to be a rigid support, he's not going to be. It's not going to be a very unsafe assumption. Okay, they just need to convince themselves of that, and then practically speaking, people still use the coefficients for even slabs on flexible supports or slabs which are supported on beams. Though technically, those coefficients are derived for rigid support edges. Okay. So that's what I said. The coefficients in Annex D is valid only when the supports are stiff, or in other words, the support or the beam. Okay. The beam undergoes very low deflection compared to, say, the middle of the slab or whatever. Okay. If the supports are relatively flexible, okay, for example, if the beam, the edge of the slab, below that there's a beam, and that beam itself, if it's going to, if its stiffness is going to be very similar to the stiffness of the slab, then you will have a little bit of sharing of bending moment between the slab and between the edge or between the beam. Okay, so basically the beam has a stiffness, the slab has a stiffness. So slab has 4 edges, and on the 4 edges there are beams. And you calculate a moment. So there's a slab of a certain dimension, certain load. So there is some moment going to the long edges, some moment going to the short edges. Now, how much of the moment is there in the slab, and how much moment is actually carried by the edges? So that ratio of the moment taken by the slab, moment resisted by the slab itself, and the moment resisted by the edges, or the moment resisted by the beams, that ratio depends on the relative stiffness between the support or the beam and the slab. Okay. So, for example, as a side note, I can ask you a question. You people have done this. What is that moment distribution method in analysis of indeterminate structures? Okay, so say that you have about a continuous beam, three span continuous beam. Simple example. 3-span continuous beam is there, and say in one of the supports, the beam on this side is having 2I, and the beam on the other side is having I as the moment of inertia or the flexural rigidity. Now, which beam is going to take more moment? The beam with flexural rigidity 2EI or the beam with flexural rigidity EI? Which will take more moment? More span moment?
Beam with 2EI.
So what? So how did you tell that?
Stiffness, 4A by L or 2A by L, whatever.
Yeah. So basically, you have that stiffness, and you have that. That's how you get the distribution factor. Okay. So the distribution factor depends on the relative stiffness of everything which joins at that particular a particular point. There's beam on many sides. So the distribution factor itself depends on that. So, and you say no, whichever is stiffer will have a greater distribution factor, and you give more moment to that particular beam or to that particular side. The same thing is true here also. If you have the beam is really stiff and the slab is quite thin, then all the moments are going to be taken by the beam. Okay, and we say that in this case the beam is rigid, or relatively it's rigid compared to the slab, and it is for that case you can use an XD. If the beam stiffness and the slab stiffness they're all very comparable, then no, all of them are going to take moment in a similar fashion. In which case you say that the beams or the supports are flexible. So these additional influences exist on flexibly supported slabs. When I say flexibly supported slab, I mean a beam which is supported on a slab which is supported on beams which have a relatively good amount of deflection. So so in such cases, you have these additional influences or these additional changes, meaning you will have a noticeable deflection in the beams as well. You may have, because the slab is attached to the beam, okay, the moment caused on the edge of the slab, they may cause a torsion on the beam, and the column which is supporting the particular beam, that column may have a certain moment or a rotation also. Okay, so all these things start coming to the picture if you have flexibly supported slabs. Okay, so this I've just shown. For example, this is this color code just tells you the moments. So I see over here that in the middle of the slab I have around 4 or something as the span moment, and as I go to these edges I have higher moments, 9 or 8 or whatever they are. Okay, so I just kind of see that as you move to a supported edge, the moment increases. Okay, or the so depending on the ratio, you have all these different things coming into the picture. Okay, so there's a empirical relation which says that if the depth of the beam, okay, overall depth of the beam, okay, so 300 by 500 means 500, okay, if it's greater than 1.26 times the slab depth into L by B power 1 by 3. L by B is the dimensions of the slab, the length and breadth of the slab. So if you see that this relation is satisfied, you can assume that the slab is supported on stiff supports, and you can use an XD. However, this I'm just telling you because I saw it, and No, I thought it is a nice thing to say. But anyway, this is not there in our code book. Okay, this is actually Canadian standard. But still, I just wanted to tell you, how do you compare or how do you decide whether something is stiff supported or flexible supported. So you need some guideline. Our code does not have a guideline. Canadian standard gives you this relation, saying that if you see that this relation is satisfied, then you can use a similar moment coefficient table which is present in Canadian standards. Okay, I mean, they won't use IS 456. They'll use their own Canadian standards. So they will also have some moment coefficients. They can use that if they IS code does not give you any such relation. Okay. Now coming to this, now after talking about that, I can come to what is meant by a flat slab system. Now, what is unique about this roof that you see? What all do you see? What all do you not see in this structure? What all structural elements are present? What all structural elements are not present?
So there is no beam, sir, only column.
There is no beams. Basically, no, it's just a set of point supports or columns. Okay, and there are absolutely no beams anywhere. Okay, meaning that this is like flexible support of excellent flexibility. Okay, because no beam means zero edge stiffness. Okay, I mean it will not be technically zero because the slab itself has a stiffness, but you can get my point. Okay, so this is a very important feature. There's no beams, it's just the slab, and slab is directly supported on columns. Only thing, if they directly support the column, it causes some other problems, which I will come to later. So instead of that, they just give this panel around it, and then they support the slab. So this is known as a flat slab system. These are some advantages. The formwork will be simpler because you do not have to keep any formwork for any beams. Since there are no beams, you have the greater amount of ceiling height, lesser obstruction to lighting and services, and it's a good system to use with post-tensioning technique. Okay, so has anyone done any internships in any construction site? I don't think you might have had the opportunity. Corona batch, no? Not Corona batch, you are half Corona batch. Has anyone done any internships in any construction site? Any big, like either a bridge site or a IT park, things like that, commercial sites? Okay, so anyway, that's this technique called as post-tensioning. It's a form of pre-stressed concrete. Okay, so all very large floor areas, like in IT parks, in malls, in airports, you name all these auditoriums or whatever. There, wherever you do not want, wherever you want a really large area of slab. Okay, a normal building, a slab floor, one single slab panel may be maximum 6 meter by 7 meter or something like that. Say you want to have a slab which is having span of 15 meters and 15 meters or greater than that. Then if you just give a slab which is so big, okay, and you give it a normal type of RCC slab, it will have heavy deflections, or you will have a very ridiculously thick amount of ridiculously thick slab, which is not a good thing to have. So there's another technique to overcome that. It's known as pre-stressing or pre-stressing concrete, and one particular form of that is post-tensioning. So I don't want to go into that too much detail, but you will have an elective known as pre-stressed concrete in your final semester or final year. So that time you may learn more about this. So this is the difference between what we normally see and what is a flat slab. So here we have that what was missing. We have beams now. And it's on the beams that these slabs are supported. One thing is because if we give a really long, what I just told now, if you have a very large area of slab, then because the span is more, deflection of the slab will be more, which we should not have. To avoid this, if we are going for a normal slab, then we have to post tension it, as I told over here. Okay. Then shear may be critical, and if shear is critical, you will need to give higher thickness, okay, for the particular slab. So these are some relative comparison between flat slab systems and conventional slab systems. When I say conventional slab, it's the two-way slabs and one-way slabs that you have covered till now. But having said that, for normal construction, normal residential buildings are like 85% of the construction which goes on will use conventional slabs. It's only for special construction, special purpose buildings that people go for flat slabs. So this is the layout of a flat slab system. Just for an example, I've taken out of somewhere, I don't know where I took. So basically you have this column. You may have a thickened part around the column, and then you have that. So this square is what you see over here. Okay. Okay. This is the inner circle. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll make the top part of this column to be a bit thick. Okay. That is represented by this inner outer circle, and then this square, you know what it is. You saw in the picture. Okay, so like this, you can have a system. So this is near the edge, the boundary. These are interior columns, exterior and interior columns and interior supports. Okay, so this is how the floor plan will look. Notice that there are no lines which depict beams. So generally they are used for buildings where the area is always areas more than height. I don't know why I written this, but anyway. So wherever you have large area, such as IT parks, office buildings, shopping malls, etc., these are used. Especially next time you go to a shopping mall or you go to watch a movie somewhere in some mall and you go in a car. Sometimes you may see that the car parking will have this kind of a system above it. Okay, so these are some points regarding flat slabs. Deflections will always be quite high at the center. Okay, and usually the calculations for this will not be too accurate. And since the slab is resting directly on a column rather than being supported on the edges, you will have a particular type of shear issue called as punching shear. So we'll come to this at the end of this part. And how do you design this? You cannot use the Annex D processor. You cannot design it like a one-way slab. You cannot use the two-way slab tables either. Definitely you cannot use it because there are no edges. Okay. So you cannot use any of that. You'll have to use either something like the yield line theory which you saw, or you may need to use some other theories. So here we'll be looking at some other theories. So this is a typical support arrangement. We have the column, and you may thicken the column at the top. Okay, so this thickened part of the column, that is known as a column capital, and the part beneath the slab, which is made a little bit of a wide area. So this is known as a drop panel. Okay, so these drop panels and column capitals are mainly given to prevent this punching shear. So there are some dimensions and restrictions which are, these are specified in IS 456. So anyway, at the end I'll show you IS 456 also. So the minimum thickness, this is for, okay, so the minimum thickness of the slab should be at least 125, and the L/D ratios, okay, and the LBD ratios are, it's more or less the same which you use for the normal slabs, but here LBD ratios does not make much sense. You just have to decide a thickness and check. So 125 is the minimum thickness, and if you give a drop panel, you can you can think of reducing the thickness a bit. So drop panels. So how about drop panels? How do you decide them? So you can see before the concrete is poured. So this is where the slab will come. And around the column, they have given this small pit. Okay, so where they pour the concrete, and they'll have an additional thickness around the column. Okay, in order to get this. Okay, so yeah, so this is the drop panel, the column, and here the slab will come. So it's basically for reducing the shear stress around the columns, or else if you don't give this, sometimes the thickness may become the thickness required may become a bit uneconomical. And the size of this drop panel should be at least 1/3 of the length measured from here to here, from column to column. Okay, so column to column, how much is the length? At least 1/3 of that you have to give the size of this drop panel. Okay, the side of the drop panel. And then of course column capital also you have. So this is basically to resist punching shear and control deflections. So how to analyze this? E-line theory can be used, but that's not talked about in IS 456. It just says use E-line theory if you want, but it doesn't tell you how to use E-line theory. You have a bit of idea of E-line theory because I covered it in when I was talking about two-way slabs, and there you would remember. In fact, to rekindle your memory, I can probably show it to you. One of the examples that you saw for E-line theory was it was one of the examples that you saw was this. And you look over here, this is circular, but it's very similar in idea as a flat slab. No beams, nothing, just columns. Okay. And for this circular slab with supported only on columns, you are able to use E-line theory. So the same thing, it can also be used for flat slabs as well, which are rectangular flat slabs which are supported on directly on columns or supported on drop panels or whatever they are. Okay, so if you're comfortable with, you can, if somebody knows how to do it, they can use E-line theory also for designing flat slabs. Okay, so going back to flat slabs. However, in our code book, they have mentioned two methods. One is known as equivalent frame method. The other one is known as direct design method. Equivalent frame method is the more difficult method. Okay, you will not be using it in your problem. You will not be doing your assignment based on this method. But still, you need to know what this says. So, as you know, this equivalent frame method, it's not only for flat slabs. It's also for slabs which are supported on flexible beams or flexible supports. Okay, it's used for both. It can be used. In fact, it can be used for anything. It can be used even for your normal two-way slab. Also, it can be used if you want. It's a very gentle method. It can be used for flat slabs. It can be used for flexibly supported slabs. It can be used for the normal conventional slabs also. So it basically assumes that the slab is cast integrally with the beam, and therefore the stiffness of the beam also contributes to the stiffness of the system. Okay. So this assumption is what we actually told in unit number 1 when we were talking about flanged beams, T-beams, and we were talking about T-beams. I told you. If we assume that a part of the slab is also contributing to the moment resistance of the beam, then we will take a certain width of the slab as the flange of the beam and we will design it to get a great moment resistance. It's the same principle which the equivalent frame method also uses. So basically, the beam plus a part of the slab will be treated as a flanged beam, and the rest of the slab will be designed separately. Okay. For example, if I have a system like this, okay, so I have these solid lines are all beams in two directions. These vertical solid lines are columns, obviously, and the shaded rectangles are slabs. Okay, so we also saw when we are doing two-way slabs, two definitions known as column strip and middle strip. Okay, so if you look at this picture, so if you want to use equivalent frame method, what you basically do is these slabs in both the directions, along this direction and also along these directions. So along both the perpendicular directions, the slab needs to be separated into column strips, which consists of beam slabs near the column vicinity, and also you need to split it into the remaining middle strips, which consist of the remaining portion of the slab. So this imaginary frame consisting of the column and the middle strips between any given row of columns is known as an equivalent frame, and it is drawn from mid height of one column to the mid height of another column like this. Okay, so basically you take a column strip, then you take half of the middle strip on either side, and this becomes an equivalent frame. So like if you look at this, you will have one equivalent frame this way, one equivalent frame along this line, another equivalent frame along this line, another one along this line. So this is as far as that direction is concerned, and similarly you will have 4 more equivalent frames which go this way, this way, this way, and this way. Okay, so this is known as an equivalent frame. Okay, basically you take the column strip, okay, with according to how you know how to take the column strip, like you know 1/4 of the width of the slab, which you already know. So that you take, and the middle strip also on either side of the frame you have taken. Then this has to be analyzed. The only problem with this is, so when you take this, the question that you have is, to do any analysis you need to know. See, it's basically the clue is given here. You need to perform moment distribution on this particular frame. Okay. So that's what I told you. Mid height of one column to the mid height of the next column. Okay. And this is the what is shown over here, this green part, that is this horizontal line. Okay. So unless you know what the stiffness of these beams and then this columns are, then you cannot do anything with it unless you know because to do moment distribution you need the stiffnesses. Okay. So, but only thing that I'll ask you is, can you do moment distribution on a frame like this? Yes or no? You're given a frame like this. I'm not asking whether it's difficult or easy. I'm just asking whether it's possible. Is it possible to do, say, a moment distribution, and is it possible to apply moment distribution method to this and then find all the moments in the supports and joints, etc.? If you know all the stiffnesses, can you do it or cannot do it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it takes a bit of time, but you can do it. As long as you know what the EI for this is. Probably for the column it is easy to find the EI. It's because column is a single rectangular element. Okay, you may be able to find EI for this and all the columns. The difficult part is finding what the EI for this is, because you have a beam going through this line, and then you have a column strip plus middle strip part of the slab. So finding the stiffness of that part is the difficult thing, but if you're able to find it out, then you can do a moment distribution and find all that you want to find. Okay, so the bending moments and shear forces may be determined by an analysis of the structure as a continuous frame, and the following assumptions. I'm not looking at the assumptions yet. So this is how you take it, but if you do a moment distribution, you will find something like this. Probably you'll be able to find negative moments in the edge, positive moments in the span. Okay, and so whatever moments that you find, you will have to split them. So this is mu plus. So you will have to split this mu plus into how much of this mu plus is taken by the middle strip, how much of the mu plus is taken by the column strip. Okay, like that you will have to make a decision. So there are ways to do it. And similarly also for the negative moments, how much of the negative moment goes to the column strip, how much of the negative moment goes to the middle strip. So you will have to proportion the moments into how much goes to column strip, how much goes to middle strip. Okay, so this is only for one direction. Similarly, you will have to do it for the perpendicular direction as well. So what are the things that you can do with this? You can consider lateral loads and gravity loads. So it appears like you have the system is something where the column strip is supported between the columns, as you can see over here, between the green and the blue shaded place. That's where your column strip is supported. And your middle strip, it's supported on the edge of this column strip. Okay, the middle strip is supported on the edge of the column strip. So it's like middle strip is supported on the column strip. Column strip is supported between two columns. So anyway, rigorous analysis is needed to find the strips and moments. You can use some procedure. You can use moment distribution or something. But your IS 456 does not exactly tell you what method you should use. moment distribution can be used. Okay, so it's just a suggestion. The beam slab system is not entirely supported by the column, so therefore the equivalent stiffness needs to be calculated for the column too. Okay, so these are some problems or some issues, some complexities regarding using the equivalent frame method. So as far as an engineer is concerned, unless it's a very typical case where it's a very unconventional case that they cannot use any of the methods that are given. For design purposes, this is not that commonly used. If somebody wants to do a research on a new system and see how that system is behaving and something like that, then no, this can give a good idea. It gives a physical interpretation of what is happening in the system. This is pretty good in giving a physical structural interpretation or a idea of how structurally this thing behaves or how it functions. So for that, this is a good method. But in the code book, the similar method is given. It's known as direct design method. It is also based on the equivalent frame method, but it has many simplifications built into it. And your IS 456 gives how to use this direct design method, and it also specifies what are the limitations in using this direct design method. So these are some main limitations. It should definitely be a two-way slab. If the aspect ratio of the slab is greater than 2, you cannot use this. Successive span lengths must not differ more than 10%. So for example, if you have 3 panels in a line, so each panel should be almost the same length. Okay, you cannot have one is 10 meters, another is 20 meters, another is something else. You cannot have very different lengths in both directions. And also, the factored live load should not exceed 3 times the factored dead load. Okay, so this is another limitation which is also placed on using the direct design method. So that's limitations. The advantages are you have very simple moment coefficients which can be used separately for the middle strip and the column strip. Okay, and there is no need to calculate the width of the column and middle strips. They are taken as a specified fraction of the slab width. Okay, like 0.2, like what is a L by 4, and the remaining thing is L by L by 8 and L by 8. We add up L by 4, and middle is 3 L by 4, which you already saw. So you can just use those constant fractions. If you are using equivalent frame method, then you will have to actually look at it and decide. You'll have to do an analysis and then decide how much to take for the column strip and middle strip, the width. Okay. Here you do not have that problem. You can just take it as a specified fraction. Both in equivalent frame method and direct design method, since the middle strip is assumed to be moment connected with the column strip, some of that moment will be transferred through torsion. So therefore, if you're having a beam supported system, not flat slab, if you're having a beam supported system, then you need to design the beams for torsion. The reason being that both these methods will actually design it for some moment on the edge. So when you say that's a moment on the edge, moment on a slab edge becomes torsion on a beam. Okay, so you'll have to design that beam for torsion. The edge beam should be designed for torsion. If you are designing that kind of a system, flat slab means obviously there's no beams, so you don't need to worry about that there. So how to use this direct design method for flat slabs? So this is how you split it. Column strip is Lx by 4, Lx by 4, and the remaining is your middle strip. Only thing to notice over here is, once again, this is Ly, but still you do Lx by 4. Okay, the shorter span only you're taking and dividing by 4. Okay, so here you have two bending moment distributions. If you do an exact analysis through, say, finite element analysis or moment distribution, even to an extent moment distribution also, if you do a proper analysis, you will get this as your bending moment diagram from this edge to this edge. If I cut a section over here and I draw the bending moment diagram, if you do it exactly, if you do the equivalent frame method or some other more accurate method, you get this as your moment distribution, bending moment diagram rather. If you use direct design method, okay, or traditional methods, traditional method is like the direct design method, whatever you have. Actually, it should not be used as, the word is wrong, it should not be traditional. if you use this simplified methods, it predicts only a constant moment in the edge strip and a constant moment in the column strip. So it is because of this, you see the difference between the bending moment diagrams. Okay, so much of difference is there. Okay, and this is the reason that so many limitations are placed on the use of direct design method, because if you violate these conditions, then the difference between the actual and the direct design method result will be unacceptably different. Okay. Okay, so very simple process to do. So whenever you're given a slab or you're given a panel like this, whenever you're given a flow system or a flat slab system, split it into panels, different panels. So how do you decide a panel is, take 4 columns, everything between the 4 columns is a panel. So if you take one certain panel like this, what you should do is, you will have to calculate total moment along the x direction, and similarly you'll also have to calculate the total moment along, this is what direction? Okay, this is x. Along the x direction and total moment along the y direction. So both directions you have to calculate the total moment. So how to calculate that is the absolute sum. So this is the key words. No, each of these words has a meaning. The absolute sum. Okay, meaning I'm not looking at the sign. I'm looking at only the magnitude. The absolute sum of the positive and average negative bending moments in each direction shall be taken as this. So meaning this m naught has to be calculated for x separately, has to be calculated for y separately. Okay, so in this one what it is this capital W is nothing but, I'll show it to you in the code. Capital W is nothing but the distributed load, something kilonewton per meter square. That load times, if I'm taking x direction, then I take the x length. Okay, that itself is capital W. Small w times the length is capital W. This Ln is it's a length parameter which is something related to the perpendicular direction for that particular thing. So it is almost like WL square by 8, except one of the WL is already incorporated into W. This capital W itself is small w times a certain L. So again that times L is WL square by 8. So it's basically, even though you have negative and positive moments, you will have negative and positive moments like a continuous system. But the full formula that you use for the absolute sum of the positive, average and negative bending moments, it is resembling the simply supported bending moment. Okay, but this particular m naught which you find, it does not basically have much meaning. Okay, it is just saying that the total sum along the x direction, irrespective of its negative or positive, is this much. Then this you have to split it, because what is m naught? It is the sum of positive and negative bending moments. So once you know this, you have to decide how much of this is positive, how much of this is negative. So this is given by this. So once you find m naught, if you have an interior span, so interior span means it's you have a plan, and anything which is not at the edge or the exterior, that is an interior span. So if you have an interior span, you can just take this m naught. 65% of this m naught becomes negative moments, and 35% of this m naught becomes positive moments. Okay, but still, it's only telling you 65% is negative, 35% is positive. It is still not telling you how much of the 65 is in the middle strip, how much of the 65 is in the column strip. Similarly, also for the positive. So further, first to just recap, first you find m naught. This m naught is split into how much is negative and how much is positive. Then this negative and positive itself will be have to split into how much of the negative is, how much of that is in the column strip, how much of that is in the middle strip, and similarly also for this. So this is for interior spans. If you have exterior spans, then you will have this interior. You will use 0.65 and 0.55. Okay, I'll come to that. It's there somewhere else. And the code book will show it to you. So you have this kind of simple coefficients that you can use. And finally, after deciding for the bending moment, you will have to check whether the slab is safe in one way and punching shear. Okay, this is known as one-way shear, where the shear failure is along a particular edge. Okay, it fails all through the edge. Okay, the critical section for one-way shear is to be taken at D from the face of the column, where small d is nothing but the depth of the slab. Okay, D is the depth of the slab, and then you will have to calculate the area of the space, and then divide by the load divided by the area of the space will give you how much is the shear stress, and you can check it. So this is how a one-way shear failure looks. You can see that the failure has happened along an edge. The failure has happened along an edge. Compare that with this. Okay, so one way it's across full width parallel to column lines. Compare that with this. So this looks. So what has happened over here as compared to this? What has occurred over here? What's the difference between this failure and this failure? Main clear difference. What is the difference?
So in the first image, it's like in the end of the span, whereas in the second, it's like in the middle.
In the middle, and okay, it's in the middle. It's around the column. But basically, the difference is here your line of failure is along one particular edge. Here the line of failure is in both directions, or in other words, it is just around the column. This is around the column. This is along an edge. Okay. In fact, the other name for punching shear is known as two-way shear. Okay, because it's two ways. Okay, it's along. It's going this way and this way as well. It forms a rectangle. This forms just a line. It happens around the perimeter of a column. The critical section as compared to one-way shear is, here it was D, here it is D by 2 from the face of the column. Okay, so you'll have to find the area of this face, area of this face, area of this face, area of this face, add them together, that gives you the total area which resists punching shear. Okay, and so you need to check whether the shear stress which comes out of this, whether it is lesser than the shear capacity of this particular slab. So you will do tau c into breadth into depth of the slab, which is given by tau c is given 0.2 times root fck, where this you can have this modification factor as 0.5 times beta c, and you can just check whether so it says when you do not give any shear reinforcement, usually in slabs we do not give shear reinforcement. Okay, so the calculated shear stress at the critical section shall not exceed Ks into tau c. Only thing is tau c, instead of using the table which you used for beams, better to use this formula for finding tau c. Ks is given by this. Okay. Okay, move to staircases. Probably I'll just show you how to use the column and middle steps. It'll take only 5 minutes. It's not a big. So I don't, because I'm not doing a problem, at least I'll just demonstrate now how to. No, first I have to show you the code book. Okay, are you able to see my code book?
Yes, sir.
So here, in page 53, you have provisions related to flat slabs. So for flat slab, it gives you the definition of column strip and middle strip. Okay, column strip means decision strip having a width of 0.25 L2. Okay, but not greater than 0.25 L1. Okay, where L1 is in the span which you are taking, considering, and L2 is the span transfers to the direction which you are considering. Okay, so this is column strip, and middle strip is the remaining portion. Okay, the panel panel means it's the part of the slab bounded on each of its four sides by the center lines of the columns. Okay, so this thing I told you, thickness of the flat slab should be at least 125 mm. The drop, okay, so whenever you provide a drop, so in each direction it should not be less than 1/3 of the panel length in that direction. This also I told you, it should be at least 1/3 of the length in that direction. Okay, so this is also I told to you, and there are some provisions regarding the column head as well. For determining the bending moments, you can use either of this, okay, direct design method or equivalent frame method. So direct design method is the easier one to use. Okay, so this is how you find critical sections for punching shear. So you give it's always d by 2. If you do not have column, if you do not have capital also, then directly from the face of the column you will take it at d by 2. If you have a drop and a capital, then from the drop take d by 2. Okay, where d by 2 is the depth of the slab. If you do not have a drop and you have only a column head, then from the center of the column draw a conical 90-degree split like this. See where it touches the slab. From there you take d by 2. Okay, so this is how we find critical sections. Then these are all specific cases, you don't need to look at this. Okay, so direct design method, I told you these limitations. Minimum 3 continuous spans should be greater than 2.0 the ratio. The span difference should not be more than 10%. Okay, and successive spans in each direction should not differ by more than 1/3 of the longer span. So you can just read through them. Of course, live load should not exceed 3 times the dead load. So this formula which I showed you. So this same thing which I just talked about. No? What are these W, Ln and 8? M0 is the total moment in a particular direction, inclusive of positive and negative. W is the design load on an area L2, Ln. Okay, meaning that something kilonewton per meter square. Okay, times L2 times Ln. L2 is, so if I want to find the x direction moment, then L2 is the y direction span. Then what is Ln? Ln is clear span extending from face to face of the columns, but capitals, brackets or walls, but should not be less than 0.65 Ln. So Ln is in the direction which you are finding the moment. L2 is transfers to the direction which you want to find the moment. Okay. Anyway, so that times so this W times Ln by 8 gives you the total moment inclusive of positive and negative. Then whatever you find, 65% of that is negative, 35% of that is positive. Okay, and in an end span, all these things are there. So for simplicity, sometimes what you will do is you may just use 0.63 and 0.65, but anyway, there are better ways to do it. We'll come to that, because finding this alpha C is not easy. Okay, it becomes almost like halfway of doing equivalent frame method. Okay, then some other normal some criteria are there. This and all you don't need to have a look at. You can forget these things. Then coming to equivalent frame method, the properties of this I have told you. So that's what is also written over here. The structure shall be considered to be made up of equivalent frames or column lines taken longitudinally and transversely through the building. Each frame consists of a row of equivalent columns or supports bounded laterally by the center line of the panel on each side of the center line of the columns or supports. Okay, so whatever picture I showed you, they just written the same thing in words. Okay, then there are some specific cases they have given. So each frame may be analyzed in its entirety, or so you can so you may have, if you have a frame, you may have vertical loads, you may have horizontal loads due to the wind or earthquake, and you may have different combinations of loads. You may have vertical, this direction horizontal, all types of 3 directional loads you can have. So you may analyze it with all the loads together, or it says you can separate the loads and analyze them as well. When you analyze them separately, it may be assumed in determining the bending moment that the slab is fixed at any support 2 panels distance from there. So these things and all are, these are all extra provisions. I don't want to go into those things. Okay, so the next thing which we want to see is this. Okay, so we found the positive moment as 35% of m0, negative moment as 65% of m0. So how much of the negative moment and positive moment do you give to column strip and middle strip? So those things are specified over here. So if you come to the column strip, then the negative moment at an interior support is taken to be 75% of the negative moment. What is negative moment? Negative moment is just 1 minute, please. No, sir. ஆமாமா பர்சனல் டேட்டாங்கிறது அந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட்ல வருமே அதுவா சார்? அந்த இந்த யூஸ்வலா அந்த இதுக்கு முன்னாடி கேலண்டருக்கு ஜஸ்ட் முன்னாடியோ இல்லை கேலண்டர் அந்த ஒரு இயர் ஓகே ஓகே இல்ல அது எடுத்தோடனே எப்படி தான் கொடுத்தாரு சார்? ஆக்சுவலா அந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் சார் நம்மள்ட்ட ஒரு காப்பி கொடுத்தாருல, அதுலேயே இது மாதிரி தான் இருந்தது ஆக்சுவலா. அப்போ எங்க கட்டணும் அதை முன்னாடி ஆகஸ்ட்ல வந்து சார் மாரிமன் சார் ஷேர் பண்ணாருன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஆகஸ்ட்ல ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒரு ரஃப் காப்பி, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இந்த ஒரிஜினல் காப்பி ஒன்று. ஸோ அதுல வந்து இந்த மாதிரி தான் இருந்தது ஆக்சுவலா. அப்புறம் அதுலேயே தான் மேலே மேலே எடிட் பண்ணிட்டு ஆக்சுவலா. ஆமா கண்டென்ட்ஸ். அது கண்டென்ட்க்கு முன்னாடி இப்போ வைக்கணுங்கிறீங்களா அந்த பர்சனல் டேட்டாவை? ஓகே ஓகே, அப்படிதான் கரெக்டாக இருக்கும். ஆமாம் ஆமாம், ஆக்சுவலாக அப்படி தான் கரெக்டாக இருக்கும். கரெக்டு. ஓகே, அது மாற்றி ஓகே, அது மாற்றலாம் வேணும், மாற்றிடுறேன் சார், அது ப்ராப்ளம். ஓகே 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 அது இது மட்டும் நான் செக் பேஜ் நம்பர்ஸ் தான் அந்த லிங்க் வச்சு கண்ட்ரோல் கிளிக் பண்ணி செக் பண்ணிட்டேன். எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு ஓகேவா தான் இருக்குது. பேஜ் நம்பர் இதுவும் அது மிஸ் ஆகல நினைக்கிறேன். வேணா அது மட்டும் வேணா ஒரு வாட்டி கராசரி பே பண்ணிக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஓகே சார். ஓகே. Sorry. Yeah, so we were looking at negative moment at interior strip. Total negative moment is 65% m0, and 75% of that goes to the column strip. And if we come to exterior support, negative moment and exterior support, you have this relation that at an exterior support, the column strip shall be designed to resist the total negative moment in the panel at that support. Okay, so if in the exterior support, it takes the whole thing. So that thing is over. Now coming to the positive moment. So 35% of m0 will be positive moment, and 65% of that thing can be assigned to the column strip. Okay, so we looked at everything as far as the column strips are concerned. We looked at the negative moment. Okay, and we also looked at the positive moment. Now coming to the middle strips. Okay, so middle strip is pretty easy. Whatever you have given to the column strip. Okay, so the positive moment, which is 65%, 35% or 65% of that m0, whatever you've taken. Okay, so that minus whatever you've given to the column strip, that becomes the moment in the middle strip. Okay, just the difference between both, between the total moment and the column strip moment. Okay, so even if you read through these 3 points, that's what it actually summarizes. Shear in flux I told you, so that it's 20/2 from the periphery of the column, and the calculation of shear stress also I told you. It's given by, where is it? Ks tau c, it should be the permissible shear stress is Ks tau c, where Ks is this 0.5 plus beta c, where beta c is nothing but the ratio of the short side to the long side of the column capital. Say column or column capital, whatever you have. If you have a column, then the dimension ratio of the column. If you have a capital, then the ratio of the sides of the column capital. Okay, so that is beta c. So that's the factor Ks. Then tau c is, if you do, since you're using limited method, it's 0.25 root of ck. Okay, so you have to check this. If you have to find out how much this Ks tau c is, you have to compare it with the actual shear stress around the critical section. And if the shear stress around the critical section is, as long as it is smaller than Ks tau c, you are good enough. If it's greater than this Ks tau c, then you may have to give it shear reinforcement, but giving shear reinforcement in the slab is not a very desirable thing. But even if you give it, it should still not exceed, the stress should still not exceed 1.5 tau c. If it exceeds, then you have to redesign the slab or make it thicker. Okay, so these are the provisions as far as your flap slab is concerned. The spacing of the bars reinforcement, it should not exceed 2 times the slab thickness. Okay, so this is another requirement. Okay, so these are few things that I want to show, but as far as this giving the moments is concerned, it's very simple. So if I just show it graphically, you may understand. That's why I'm doing this. Okay. So if I have a slab like this, okay. Okay. So of course I may have, I'm just taking one panel. Okay. Interior panel is always easy, so so for your course, we'll stick with interior panels itself. Okay, so this is an interior panel, it's a flat slab, and you may have panels, drop panels around it also, around the columns. Column can be either rectangular or circular. Okay, so I'll say we have a flat slab system like this, and I give it W kilonewton per meter square. Okay. So this is so this is maybe I can just show you IS4 physics also simultaneously, so that you can so this is say some L as Ly, okay, longer one and shorter one. So typically, so to find out moment, what I do is, so M0 we have that WLN. By this capital W itself is nothing but, now where your capital W equals your small w times, it is mentioned there on an area L to Ln. Okay, so this itself, it's differently I have to take for a x direction and y direction. So capital W, for finding the moment along x direction, there will be nothing but, okay, so capital Wx is equal to W times, so this is x direction, okay, so L2 for x direction is Ly, okay, this one, times Ln. Ln is either Lx or 65% of Lx, subject to a minimum of 65% Lx. So mostly it will be Lx itself. Similarly, for finding the moment of y direction, the W that I have to use is, as long as it is, mostly it will be the same. As long as you do not have the 60% criteria governing. So for this, L2 will be Lx and Ln will be Ly, or subject to a maximum of 68% Ly. And then I have to, for doing m0, x will be, so whatever I found over here, that Wx, Ln is Ly by 8. Similarly, capital M0, y will be Wy Lx by 8. Okay, so that is what is mentioned in the code book. It's specifically stated. If you read through the formula, you will understand what specifically it means. Ln means length of span transfers to L1. L1 is length of span in the direction of M0. Okay, so that's why these have been mentioned. Okay, so now let's say that I split this into my column and middle strips. So this is column strip, okay, column strip. This column strip is along y direction. Similarly, I will also have, I'll use a different color for that. I will also have column strips along x direction. So this is a different column strip. நான் சொல்லிட்டேன் சார், இந்த ஆப்போசிட்ல வந்து புத்தகத்துக்கு சொல்லி யாராவது சொல்லிச்சு தெரியல சார். இந்த வாரம் இது இல்ல, இது வீட்டு போய் தெரியல. இப்போ மழையில கொண்டு வருவாங்கன்னு தெரியல. நாளைக்கு தான் நாளைக்கு வெயிட் பண்ணிடுறேன் வாட்டி. 18 ஜனவரி 25 சொல்லியிருக்கேன். Okay, column strip and column strip for the x direction as well. So like this, I'll split it. So this is column strip. This is middle strip along. So here, this is the middle strip along y direction. Okay, and similarly, you'll have middle strip along the x direction as well. So whatever they be. Okay. So among this, I'll have to split these moments, whatever I got. So column strip always takes a total of, negative moment is always m0 x negative. Let us put a negative sign. Will be 68% of m0 x. M0 x plus will be 35% of m0 x. So and similarly for m0 y also. Okay, so once you find this, if I want to find how much moment in the column strip is present for y direction, so when I look at the code book, it gives me the answer that for negative moment column strip, it's 75%. Okay, so here I'll take, so basically it will become column strip. This is y direction is this one. Okay, so I use this color. So basically 75% of 63% of m0 y. Okay, so basically that's what will be there. Okay, and this remaining will be so basically it is 75%, so the remaining is 25%. Of this is no, sorry. This is column step. The negative then negative. This little step. This is column strip for this. This is column strip for x direction. Yeah. Okay. So when I look at this is the direction x. Yeah. So along the x direction, it is 75%. So this 75% covers, it covers this whole region. Okay. As long as I look at x direction, then of course I have the negative moment of y direction. Okay. So that is no remaining, which is at 25%. This is the column middle step. How do I say this to you? Better I draw it separately for different directions. Draw it quite small. This is enough. So this I'll draw only for the y direction moment. Column strip. Middle step. Okay. So now this is the column strip. Okay. And similarly, middle step, when I come to the middle step, it is remaining. Okay, so like this, you will take it. Of course, here also will be the more or less same. And when I come to positive moments, the positive moments will be present in the middle. So that positive moments I will use a different color. And that will be as given over here. It says 60% of the total positive moment in the panel. Okay, for the column strip. So it's 60%. Okay, so for positive moments it will be 60% of the total positive moment in the panel. Okay, 60% of what's the positive moment? It's 33% of them not y. I put minus, and therefore this will be 40%. So when you come to the other direction, it will be the same numbers. Okay, it will be the very same numbers, except that the way I draw the panels, the strips will be different. So if I look at the x direction, it will just be oriented this way. Okay, it will be the same things coming, but the orientation is different. That's it. Okay, so basically this will be here, except that instead of m naught y, I'll have m naught x all along, and this will come here and so on. Okay, so anyway, the only when you do it, you will know. So I just wanted to tell you how this looks. I just halt for about 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, staircases is quite small. There are only 3 slides to show. Okay, just need to tell you what the types are and how to dimension it. That's it. There's nothing else for me to teach in staircases. So I'll halt for about 5 minutes, maybe 4:25, 4:20 now. Maybe around 4:25. I'll take 5 minutes. You can also probably just go. You can take a break, whatever you want to do. Take 5 minutes, come back. I'll finish staircases, then you are ready for your assignment. Okay, I'll close this. Is it fine? 5 minutes?
Sir, I have a doubt, sir.
Yeah.
So like the direction parallel to y-axis is y, right?
Direction parallel to y-axis?
Like when you took that slab part, it's like in down you took ly and perpendicular to that you took lx. So then when we are doing that, so my should be along the y, isn't it? But then what we did is it was like perpendicular to the ly.
We took it like that. Wait, let me see. What did I draw? Okay. Oh yeah, correct. It's reversed. It should be reversed. So the m0y is it's along ly, and the m0x should be along lx. Okay, you have done it correctly. Column strip. Illa. Actually. Illa, what I have drawn is correct only. See. See, my moment is along my, along the y direction. m0y is along ly. So there's a total certain amount of moment, okay, which needs to be split along this direction. So if I want to propose, if I want to split something along a horizontal line, the compartmentalization should be happening with the vertical line only now. So for your purpose, I will just share it again. See, only when I draw it like this, see, only when I make this compartmentalization in this direction, then I will be able to now say that only then I'll get a variation of moment. Okay, this variation is needed means I have to split it in this direction only. So this variation is wrong. It won't look like this, but see the moment is along y. A color. See the moment is okay. The moment is along y, but then that means the strips. Okay, the strips will be split only along this ly. No, is this what you are asking me? No, what is your question exactly? This or something else?
Yes, sir. Like what you said, like it got clear, sir. Like you said, the compartment will be perpendicular to the direction.
Okay. I mean, my answer is okay, or some other doubt.
No, sir. That was actually my doubt. But then when you explained, it got clear.
Okay, fine. It's 4:25, so I probably have to start at 4:30.